This episode of Loving You, the podcast, is brought to you by Sony Music in the Orchard, home of Eleanor, Crazy for You, and the new top 5 record, Groove Dynasty's Somebody Loves You Back, available on all digital outlets. Hey everybody, happy Sunday. It's been a minute. I hope y'all are doing well. Hope you've had a great weekend and you're just sitting down and relaxing and getting ready to listen to the topic for today. I know that some of you already know what it is because you were listening to us on the radio, but this actually came up a couple of weeks ago. I was out with girlfriends and just doing a poll of what we thought was the most important thing in a relationship. What is it that you need to create a relationship, and what is it that once fractured is really, really hard to get back? And it wasn't a joke. It was actually, it sounds like a limerick, but it was actually really something that we talked about. And the consensus, it was 10 of us, and all 10 of us all agreed with the same thing. It was all about trust. You know, that's the basis of relationships, and most important reason that relationships end is because of lack of trust, which leads to so many other things. So I figured it'd be a good thing to bring up in the next podcast. So here we go. But before we take it any further, I do want to welcome Chris, because I know he's going to have a lot to say. Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to go, man. I know.
You know what?
I know. This is going to be a rocky road.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I know.
Well, so trust can be, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, it's like, I knew what we were talking about today, so when I came in, I was prepared. But, I think back to when I was a kid, when I was, in high school, junior high school. Trust came easy. It was just like, I'm just giving it up. We'll see what happened. There was no fear. But then something happened in adulthood where, the landscape changed. People started, manipulating people.
Well, so that was going to lead me into my question. So have you ever been in a relationship with someone that you don't trust?
Yes.
And so,
yes.
There was no hesitation there.
None whatsoever. Yes.
Okay, so
I tried, though.
You tried
I really tried because I was like, maybe this is my past trauma, so let me put this to the side. Let me try. And then I wanted to justify why I didn't trust. And so they started giving me reasons.
So did you trust them and then you lost it? Or was it just that you never trusted them to begin with and it just got worse?
If we look at a scale of 100, let's just look at 100%. Well, when I start a relationship, I'm like, this is going to sound real crazy, but I'm at about 25. I expect you to do silliness.
In a new relationship, you trust only 25%.
About 25%.
Oh,
I expect you to do stupid stuff. I've been through the trauma, man.
Yeah,
I've been through some trauma.
I think so. So you're not one of these people that you just trust until they lose it.
No.
Until they blow it.
No, the way they say, you're guilty before you're innocent.
Yeah, so you certainly are.
Yeah, and I don't want to be that way. I think that's why I went to counseling and all of that. I didn't want to be that person, but before counseling, I was that person. Let's just keep it a buck. When I met you, I didn't trust you.
You're a smart guy.
I didn't trust you at all, man.
Why not?
Nah, man. Pretty girls always get you in trouble, man.
But that's got nothing to do with trust. What kind of trouble do you get into? What kind of trouble have you gotten into? Let's put it that way.
People that cheat, people that lie, people that steal.
Yeah, betrayals.
From you. Yeah, all of that. So trust, man, that's a big one right there.
It's just something that needs to be earned.
And then I met you, and I was like, in my mind, when I was sitting across from you, I was saying, she dope, but, she probably got pretty girl privilege and she's on some BS and I'm just not feeling it.
Pretty girl privilege.
Pretty girl privilege.
I've never heard of that.
That's real, man. Pretty girl privilege. Don't be trying to steal it either. Yeah, I don't need to patent that, but pretty girl privilege, because, because pretty girls, they have this thing where guys are always wanting to do for them, wanting to help them, want to be friends with them. And
for an ulterior reason.
Yeah, but they can't focus. They can't focus, man. So it's like, oh, she got pretty girl privilege.
Well, I'm just touched that you said I was pretty, so thank you. But anyway, I don't have no pretty girl privilege.
Pretty girl privilege.
No,
I
work
don't know
really
if that's
hard.
a compliment right now.
Pardon me?
I don't know if that's a compliment.
No, well, the way you're saying it, it's not.
No, it's not. It's not a compliment.
But anyway, so the thing with trust is, I mean, giving 25% of it, that's pretty low. Everybody's starting in a really negative balance
and
with you.
It's really not a good place.
No, it's not.
But I'm saying that after all the trauma, I was just like, no, I'm not going to get hurt again. So trust, was one of those things that somebody stole from me. I used to always say to my brother, to him, and most recently, I said, man, I really wish that I could have a child's heart once again.
That would be beautiful, wouldn't it? Just in the whole world.
I really wish I could have a child's heart, but as soon as I say that, then some craziness happens. I'd be like, see, this is why
I don't.
I can't have a child's heart.
I mean, unfortunately, yeah. And you're absolutely right. Trust is when you're younger. I mean, think of children. They trust you implicitly.
Yeah.
And so as you start getting older and you start getting, unfortunately, disappointed by life, you start pulling back on trust. I mean, I wouldn't say... I certainly trust people more than 25%.
So you telling me that you start at 100?
No, I don't start at 100.
I was about to say, because that ain't true.
But not at 25%.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to give you 35 because I went through it.
You went through what?
With you.
Oh, I never said I was going to trust anybody implicitly. Trust is something that you earn.
Nah, man, but what happens to that 100% you was just talking about? Well, I can't believe that you only 25%.
Well, because that's really low. I mean, I think I'm like at about 50. Maybe 60.
Okay, 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I trust you as far as I can see you. When I can't see you, then I don't trust you anymore. So, and if I see you 50% of the time, we're good.
No.
This is at the beginning. So the point is that, yes, when and especially like we were saying, people at our age, you're a little bit, you're jaded, you've been through some stuff. And so you're a little bit more concerned about just giving the goods that easily.
But then you think about all the things why you don't trust. I remember we had this question in counseling, and my counselor said, why don't you trust? And I was just like, well, people have changed. And she's like, changed how? Tell me. And I was like, I had to isolate it to like business and relationships.
Right, because there's different types of trust.
Right. And so I was like, she's like, no, let's talk about the personal stuff. I don't care about your business. I was like, okay, I'm paying for this. You should hear me. But anyway, it was like, well, when did you first not start losing trust? And I was like, I remember, trying to get at this girl who said she was single and everything was beautiful, and I showed up at her house unannounced and damn near got myself killed because she had a husband.
Ooh, whoa, Chris.
Yeah. So like, what I'm supposed to do? Get in my car and dust myself off and be like, oh, it's all just a mishap. I'm still trust 100%.
How long? And there's so many factors in that.
A couple of months of us talking, and she was really hardcore about.
Hardcore liar.
She was like, no, I don't like cheaters. I don't like this. I don't like that. I'm not a cheater. When I give my all. And I'm saying, all of what?
To whom?
Which one?
Yeah.
So I think that's where it started. And then, you start to just see other things where, people want to have a relationship, but they want to pick and choose the pieces. Like, yeah, we could go hang out. We can go to dinner. Yeah, we can go to movies. Matter of fact, we could even sleep together. But please don't call me tomorrow. And this is females.
Well, but what does that have to do with trust?
I don't trust you, man. Why would I share myself with you?
Oh, right. No, I mean, but guys do that plenty of times too.
Yeah, guys do it too. But when you're serious and you're looking for something, not just a booty call.
But in a way, that's actually better because at least they're upfront with what their expectations are. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that, but I don't want a relationship, because that's basically what she was telling you.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, someone like that I would be more inclined to trust than someone like the lady that was the girl that was married.
Yeah, of course. But, at the end of the day, I just stopped believing in the whole process.
Oh, and that's a shame because...
but then it seems like what goes around comes around. because when I first got divorced, I was that person.
You were what person?
I was her.
You were telling people you were married?
I was telling people, like, hey, man, like, I'm not looking for a relationship. I just want to hang out. I just want to.
But you were honest.
I became that. I was her. So, she was saying the exact same thing I was saying.
Right,
so,
she wasn't ready for a relationship. See,
but if you're not ready for a relationship, then why are you giving me all your goods?
Well, that just depends on what you're looking for. I mean, like I said, to each his own, but to me, at least, that type of person, at least they're honest about what they want.
Okay, honest.
So the question or the issue with trust is without having it in a relationship, and it is difficult to establish, you're not going to have intimacy. You're not going to have the level of commitment that you would have if you trust somebody. So you're not going to have the reliability. All these things are so important. These are the things that trust actually gives you. And most importantly, it gives you a sense of safety and security within this relationship.
Yep. Again, but I used to, like, for real, I'll be lying to people about what I do for a living. They'd be like, what do you do? I'll be like, I work at the high school.
Yeah, you're a high school music teacher.
And they'd be like, really? And I was like, yeah, I got benefits, 401k, because, being from the entertainment industry, I wanted someone to accept me for me. And I've had a couple of incidents where it was all about the music.
And not about you.
And not about me. So I'd be like, yeah, I work at a high school, man. I'm a janitor.
Well, and that's until you develop trust. Now, the other side of that coin is, it's kind of like giving somebody a fake name.
Yeah.
If they find out, you.
Nah, man, but I really have two names.
Yeah.
I do.
I know.
I have my government name, and then I have my radio name. So it's like they both are legit.
Right. But so if you give the one that's
not on your credit card.
Right. Yeah. And somebody hears that name.
We're laughing because at the end of the day, I don't like inside jokes. So I definitely,
go ahead and share.
I first went out with this girl, we went for some drinks and,
you established a tab. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a tab. And then when I was ready to pay it, I was like, hey, look, I was whispering like, hey, I want to pay my bill. And the girl was like, are you Chris? And I was like, nah, man, I'm Clay. But then I nodded like, yes. And so she's seen it. So I just...
Seen it. I heard it.
You've seen it and heard it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I was not lying. I just wasn't ready to reveal my government name.
Yeah. So you were just...
It's testing the water.
You were just keeping some information to yourself.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you would have lied if I would have said to you, is that your name? What is your name?
Nah, I would have been like Clay.
Yeah, then you would have been lying.
But
notice how I did not put you on the spot, though.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You just kind of let it slide.
I did.
You tucked it away in your back pocket.
I sure did.
And it came up the next day.
Yeah,
it's what's
I
your
sat
name?
on it.
What's your name?
What is it again? I'm putting you in my phone. What should I put as your last name?
Oh, my goodness.
But anyway.
That was funny.
So, yeah. So, but those are the type of things that I think it's really important when you first meet somebody, that you actually have an open mind and a sense of humor. And
open mind, sense
and a sense of humor, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I agree with that.
Yeah. And so that kind of, it didn't stop me from trusting you. It just kind of like
now
you
went home and Googled it.
I sure did.
Come on, man.
Put it in my back pocket till I got home, and then I took it right out.
It's like, look, let me see what's happening here, man.
But anyway, so we pretty much are examples of, that you can create trust.
Yeah.
Especially at this age where you've got two people of our age that have been through things in life and have had their feelings hurt and been taken advantage of, maybe been betrayed, maybe had, someone had an affair on them. So it's really hard to establish trust, but we can do things to actually create trust.
Like?
Well, to build trust, the first thing you need to do is be accountable. Accountability is really important.
Super important.
So if and with that accountability is you have to be intentional. Creating trust is an intentional act. So I'm accountable for what I tell you I'm going to do, and I do it. and I'm consistent. It's the consistency is so important, because if you tell someone you're going to do something, and I'm going to do this every week for you, and then you do it once, and then you skip, and then you skip, and then you skip, and right then, as you were starting to develop this trust, you put that damper in it, where all of a sudden, okay, I don't know if I can trust your consistency.
I think with a simple phone call, we don't even have to do much. If you tell me I'm going to call you back, that's a simple act.
Absolutely.
And 3 days pass by and you still hadn't called?
Yeah.
Man, you get pushed to the left.
Well,
now,
right.
Because now I see you differently.
Right.
It's like you're not. So I'm making a decision in my head, like, how is this going to frame up? Like, okay, I'm going to put her over here. This is when I got time. She's a when I got time girl.
Right.
And it's all because you don't do what you say. Well, and this was a simple act.
Absolutely. So that ties into the next thing, be truthful. Be truthful to your word. So if you give your word, stand up to it. Be truthful and keep your promises. And this is really important. Don't make commitments that you don't think you can keep.
I got that one mastered, though. I'll be like, if I say it's going to happen, you can sleep on it.
Right.
If I don't know if I can really make it happen, I'll say, we'll see. It's like a maybe.
I'll try, or right.
Like, we'll see. We'll see how that happens. I say that more than anything.
Well, but so you've learned.
Yeah,
because
we'll see.
It's worse to say, I'm going to do this, and I'll do this, and I'll turn this, and I'll meet this deadline, and then you're scrambling, and you're having to pick what you can do, and then, unfortunately, things that are going to fall by the wayside are going to disarm this person that you're supposed to be being consistent in your behavior with. So make sure that before you make a commitment, like, I'll pick you up Friday at 6:00 in the evening to go to dinner. If you can't do it, don't commit to it. Or I'm going to help you meet this goal. If you can't do it, don't commit to it.
Well, I'm petty. So it's like, okay, you missed out on that one. You didn't do what you said it was going to do. So I'm measuring based on what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if I'm holding up to my end of the deal, then I expect you to hold up your end of the deal. So I can be a little petty.
And how?
It's like, oh, okay, so
like payback?
You say that you want somebody that speaks the truth. Okay, I'm speaking my truth. But then, you show up late or you don't do something. I'll be like, well, you're not holding your end of the deal.
Well, that's not petty. That's being honest.
Most people would probably flag that off. But I think it's the simple acts that we have to make sure that we get those established and demonstrated first.
Right, especially at the beginning.
You're
absolutely right, because you're not going to get to the heavy stuff if you don't trust the person that you're trying to establish a relationship with. So especially at the beginning, it's really important. Once you've crossed the line that you've decided, okay, this is a relationship that I actually want to nurture and cultivate, it's really important that the first thing that you start to do is develop trust with your partner.
Then we talk about the whole sex piece, because that's I come from the old school of, my mom always said she had 5 boys. So she's always saying, look, if you sleeping with that girl, that's your girlfriend. Well, I kind of carried that along with me in my back pocket as I grew up. And now in today's time, we can sleep together, give it up freely. But that, in my head, I'm saying, oh, that's my girl. In her head, it's like,
you're just the guy for tonight.
That was tonight. So I lose trust in that.
Right, but it's not fair to judge other people by...
When it keeps happening over and over again, maybe
maybe you needed to change where you were hanging out.
Nah, man, I'm meeting people at the church.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I meet people at the church, man.
But, so this ties into something else about creating trust. Effective communication. What you want, what you need. You put that out there at the very beginning. You're intentional about your conversations and creating this space for, this is what I'm looking for. And so perhaps if you would have done that with these girls and not assumed that if you were sleeping together, she was your girl, if you would have had that conversation at the beginning, listen, as we move into an intimate relationship, I have intimate relationships with women that I'm that are my girl, or that, I'm creating a serious relationship with, not just someone to sleep with.
Oh, well, I haven't met a lot of those since I've been divorced. I haven't met a lot of those.
Really? Well, you should go to my church.
Catholic, yeah. I find them bowing. That's pretty good.
No, but that's why I'm saying I don't know where you were hanging around, because my friends
there's just people everywhere.
Absolutely.
There's no one place,
No.
It's like, but when you meet people, but what I found is that so many people have been hurt at this age that, women start to act like men getting a little softer around the edges. It's like we're almost role reversing.
Well, because women have gotten tired of being abused and misused by guys. The guys that do create trust and tell them, I want a relationship with you. And then, you move into this intimate relationship with them. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, you don't know where they're at.
Right.
So yeah, it's not tit for tat. But I think what's happened is that women, especially women of our age, they're tired. And it's like, well, if somebody's going to do this, it's going to be me. I'm not going to be the victim anymore. And so we lose that victim mentality and we become perpetrators.
Okay. Well.
So along with communication, it's important that you be attuned to your partner's needs. Those two.
I need you to do what you say
emotional
you're going
needs
to do.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So that ties into consistency. And think before acting. So before you do something, and that's something that, God, my mom used to tell me that when I was a little girl. Before you do something, think it through. I took it really seriously, so I think everything through really carefully, and sometimes that's actually not a good thing.
No, it's not. Trust me, I'm a user of the product.
And, take responsibility for your mistakes.
Take responsibility.
Absolutely. That's the accountability part. If you do something wrong, be accountable for it. I'm sorry I did this wrong. And
if I slip and fall into another woman.
Well, if you slip and fall and your pants are down, there's going to be a problem.
I take accountability. I did not need to slip and fall.
Yeah, no.
It was raining.
All of these things, the accountability, the communication, the being there, but when you commit to something, do it. The honesty, the openness, and if you do it over and over and over, it creates a trustful relationship. Your partner will begin to see you and realize, this person is true to their word. And so when they tell me they're going to do something, they're going to do it. And if they tell me that they can't do something, they won't do it. Right. Or they, and so that's very important. And unfortunately, it's really sad when you actually develop that and then that trust is broken.
Yeah, but sometimes, I think that people have become so good at the game that, you think you're establishing that, but it's like, it's BS, man.
It's part of a game.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. I thought you did. And then they'd be like, I thought so too. But I changed my mind.
I didn't? Wait, I forgot.
How do you just change your mind midstream? Were you going to clue me in?
Change your mind about what?
About, hey, look, I thought I said that I will be truthful. I said that I will definitely.
I said that I loved you.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah. And then it's like, I changed my mind. How do you just change your mind?
Because these people weren't sincere at the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's when you want to hurt somebody.
Well, and so that's just, so we talk about breaking trust, and the word that comes to mind is betrayal. But when I say betrayal, you automatically think an affair.
No.
Oh, good.
No, I don't.
Okay, because that's
I think that, betrayal can be a bunch of stuff. It can be just you not holding up to your word.
Right.
You led me down this road, and I thought that we were headed somewhere, only to find that you left a bunch of fragments on the floor because you didn't care, and, all that stuff you said wasn't true.
Okay, and that's absolutely one of the reasons. That's one of the ways that trust is betrayed. I mean, of course, there is the affair, and there is, but they're having another person on the side, or even just that one night stand, that's a betrayal of trust. But, and this was the issue that I had, a way to betray somebody's trust, and this happened to me, is someone that's not fully committed. And so if you're in a relationship with someone and they're treating you kind of like you're a placeholder, and you always get the feeling like, yeah, I'm kind of here, but I get the feeling that I'm here because they're waiting for something else. That's a sign of, that's a way to betray somebody's trust.
Okay.
Yeah, because you trust that when you're in a relationship, hey, this is a relationship and we're both in it. And so when
but from a guy's perspective, though, if a guy starts to feel like that, I immediately looking for the side piece.
Well, but that's you.
But most guys, most of my friends.
Well, because a lot of men would actually kind of wait to see what's going on.
But most guys don't want to be left. They don't want to be left empty-handed. So it's like, nah, I'm not gonna cheat just yet, but I'm gonna look at some prospects.
Okay, and so that's what happens. So that the betrayal is actually on both sides.
Yeah, it is. It's like, no one's going to reveal that because nobody wants to have the finger pointed at them as it's your fault. But in all honesty, when you start to feel like it's slipping away, it's like, I'm looking at my roster, see what's up. I'm trying to put something on the roster.
All right. So, and understandably so, but so the point is that if you're in a relationship with somebody and your partner doesn't seem to be fully committed, or your partner's...
What should you do?
This is something you need to talk about.
Most people don't want to have that kind of conversation.
Well, then of course they do. If you're in a relationship where the person you're with, first of all, is either they're not fully committed because they kind of like have you on the side, or every time you get in a fight, they threaten to leave. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of this. We need to break up. And it just keeps on going over and over. You need to have that conversation. It's like, are you here or are you not?
Yeah, but most people, that's easier said. When most people don't want to go that deep. I'm telling you, man, most people don't want that trouble, man. They be like,
well, the people that I've spoken with are willing to go that deep. Because
but okay, I'm going to use the radio show. Look at how many people in the chat room are having these issues, that these issues keep happening because
they don't talk about it.
They don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And these grown folk.
Right. And until you talk about it, it's not going to go away.
There was a lady in the chat room just last week that said, she's been broke up with a dude for 3 years, and she won't call the police. She just allows him just to continue to ruin her life, right. Stalking her, basically, ruining any relationship that she could try. It's like, people don't want to have that conversation.
Well, but that's different because they're not even in a relationship anymore.
No.
So there's not even a conversation. It's like, leave me alone or I'm calling the cops. There's no conversation here. This is what I'm doing. Easier said than done, I'm sure. But getting back to conversations in relationships, if you're in a relationship and this person is betraying your trust by following behaviors that go against trust, you're either going to stay in a relationship where you don't have trust, or you're going to fix it, or you're going to move on.
Now, let's look at this, though. What happens when trust is broken? Well, it seems that's a hard thing to fix.
You can come back from it. When trust is lost, you can. Sometimes you need to go to counseling. It depends on how the trust has been lost. And that's why, before it gets to that point, when you're starting to see issues where where you feel like your trust, what you believe in this person and the safety and the security in the relationship is being foregone, you need to have that conversation before it becomes the total breakage of the relationship, of the trust in the relationship. But let's say, your partner's lying. A really important thing for trust is, if you say don't lie, your actions and your words have to match. So if you're telling me you're working late, I trust you that you're working late. If I find out that you're hanging out with your friends at a bar, there goes that trust. So once all these things start to happen, and if they happen continuously, the trust is eroded in the relationship. And then you can get it back, but that's going to be a process. And then you even, if you're the person whose the trust has been violated, like for instance, this has come up in the chat room a lot, we have quite a few women that are saying that, they have issues with their guys and ex-girlfriends. And the guys are, well, but it's really a platonic relationship. We're just friends. So my question to that one is, when you're talking to this quote unquote platonic relationship, a friend, and it's very possible that you do have a platonic relationship with another person of the opposite sex. How would it be if your partner was a fly on the wall? How would you feel? Not that they were sitting next to you, because you will moderate your behavior if you're doing something wrong. But if your partner was a fly on that wall, would that whole relationship not be an issue? Would the conversations be okay? Would it be all right for them to hear it?
I'm thinking about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. If you were a fly on the wall versus sitting next to me. Mm-hmm. Sitting next to me, the conversation would probably be like, yeah, like, how you been? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Nice to see you. Blah, blah, blah. Fly on the wall.
Don't say you swatted.
Fly on the wall. You might hear some, I used to smash, right? We was crazy in bed. We would probably be having that conversation.
Okay, so then
that's cheating.
Well, it's lying.
It's leading to cheating.
It could be. It could very well be, but it's certainly lying to your partner about this is just a platonic friend.
Yeah.
And
I don't really get down like that. I think when it's done, and we have to put some space in it. And once we put space in it, and if it should come back together later years, perhaps you done got married, you doing your thing. Now it's just like, somebody I used to date.
Right. And so that's what we were talking about in the last radio show. There has to be that space and time in between to alleviate any falling back into old patterns, especially if either one of you are in another relationship, because that's really unfair to the other person. So let's say that these things happen, and I am the fly on the wall, and I hear you say that. And so all of a sudden, I don't trust you anymore. I don't trust you. I don't trust your friends. I frankly don't want to be near you. But hey, you're telling me, come on, let's try. Please, it was a mistake. Nothing happened. We were just talking. We were just reminiscing. We're just friends, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if you are the person that's on that side of the trust issue that has been violated, if the trust has been violated and you're the person with the broken heart, you need to there's some steps that you need to take for yourself.
Like?
Okay, so you need to realize that this person has just taken away your safety and security in that relationship.
Not really, man. Come on.
Oh, yeah, really, yeah.
No.
Yeah, because part of safety and security in a relationship is I'm free and I'm safe to be myself, to let you be yourself, and we're going to be okay with that. But you being yourself, talking about how you hit it with someone, 5 years ago, because I'm not around, and how great the sex was because I'm not around, that safety in that relationship, in the relationship that you and I have, now it's no longer there. Because you're not respecting me.
You think that I was going to go hit that.
You're obviously...
I'm setting it up.
You may have been setting it up, but at the end of the day, it's something that you two are thinking about and talking about.
We were just talking about some stuff.
We'll talk about other stuff. Talk about the weather. Talk about politics.
Talk about some stuff.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about that doesn't have to be a past sexual experience. And so,
let's take sex out the. Maybe we just reminiscing about. Mary, remember we went to Yellowstone Park? That was really dope.
Well, that's fine though, because that's not intimacy. I mean,
we might just be chopping it up.
Yeah, and so that's fine. And so if your girl or your guy is a fly on the wall and you guys are having that conversation, I don't see what the problem would be. I don't think that's a problem. I think the problem is that when you go into really intimate details that are better off left in the past. That's why it's the past.
Okay.
But a good litmus test for this is always going to be, how would you feel? Be empathetic. Put yourself in your partner's shoes. How would you feel if that happened to you?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
Nah. I mean, but I'm kind of chauvinistic.
Well, but that chauvinism doesn't play. There's nowhere in all the literature that I've read about trust where it says that chauvinism is exempt.
No, it's cool. I know.
So,
I'm just being
yeah,
facetious.
I know you are.
But,
So,
but no, I wouldn't like it.
yeah. So, so all of you out there that, your girl or your guy, you think they're jealous or they're just asking, put yourself in their position. First of all, put yourself in the position of that fly on the wall that you're not going to swat. Would that change the dynamic between this friend that you're talking to? And if it wouldn't, then why don't you include your partner? And if it would, how would you feel if the
my partner is acting like a jerk because she's calling her all kind of names, and I'm like,
she doesn't know her. Maybe
right, but that's why I'm saying, why are you even calling her names?
Right. So no, I mean, we all have to be somewhat mature about this stuff too. So
it's like, why would I include her when?
Well, I think that before it reaches a point where you're calling names, I think that your partner should be included, because then you develop a relationship between the three of you, and not that type of relationship.
No. I don't understand people that be married to each other, and then all of a sudden they split up, and now everybody having dinner together. You're a new person, they're a new person. It's like no. I don't.
So, but wait. So then you're saying that it's okay for you to be with your ex-girlfriend, but your wife can't meet her?
Nah, man, why would you want to meet her? You know who she is, so why would you want to meet her?
Why would you want to be with her and not include your wife?
But maybe we ended as friends.
Okay, so why wouldn't you want your wife or your partner to meet your old friends?
Because you're going to be probing, and you're going to be like, how long have you guys been in?
No. There shouldn't be any probing questions, because those questions you answered to your girl. She asked you. She's not going to ask this other person. She's going to ask you.
Oh, man, come on. Women are slick, man.
No.
Women know how to finesse it.
They may be slick, but they're going to ask you first.
They know how to finesse it out of a person.
Absolutely. So make sure that when they ask you those questions first, because what they're doing is they're giving you the opportunity to be honest with them. They're giving you the opportunity to create a trusting relationship. So you make sure that when they ask you those questions, you say the truth. Because the day will come where those questions will be answered by somebody else. And if your words and your actions don't match, there's a problem.
Okay.
So getting back to, if you're the person that has had your trust has been betrayed, spend some time. First of all, really calculate and think about what happened and decide, is this a relationship that I even want to pursue? Do I want to try to make this work? Was the breach of trust so big that we can't go back? Or was it something that I can forgive and we can move forward from? Have you ever had a breach of trust where you've been able to go back?
No. Oh. I've never went backwards. Leopard don't change his spots. So no.
No, but I mean, if it's, let's say.
Let's just say if there was something, and I'm stop being facetious here. If there was something minor, like maybe you seen an ex and y'all having a conversation. Okay, it might be a little salty, but put that down. But a non-negotiable, y'all end up sleeping together?
Right.
It's like, I don't care what I feel about you. It's over.
Yeah.
I can't come back from that.
It depends on the trust, the level of trust that was actually broken. You're absolutely right.
Can't do it.
So, but if you decide, let's say it was, he said he was at work and he was actually out with the guys.
At the strip joint.
Oh, I know. God, for you, that's just so important. Okay, so he's out with the guys at the strip joint. Are you going to end a relationship because of that? Or
will you end a relationship because of that?
I don't know.
Let's go and find out. Here's what I don't get. It's like, it's just entertainment.
Yeah, so it's the movies.
Okay, so movies, strip clubs, all of that is
they fall different. If you have to be sticking $20 bills in somebody's thong.
Okay, you're sticking $20 in that cash register at the movies.
Yeah, to get a Coke and a thing of popcorn.
Yeah.
But not to get a lap dance.
It's entertainment.
Okay, well, anyway, so the point that I'm making is, you decide if that happens to you. You decide, this was clearly a boundary. This boundary has been broken. Am I willing to make this work? Am I willing to... And it also would depend on how the partner, the person that broke that violated that trust, how they behave. Because if they're angry, well, it's not a big deal, get over it, blah, blah. Then you need to decide, do I really want to be with this idiot? So But so as the person that the trust has been violated, it's really important that you establish those boundaries so it doesn't happen anymore, and that you not retaliate. If you decide you want to make this relationship work, it should never be, well, you did this, so I'm going to do this.
Nah, I just want to get away.
Yeah, right. But
if I'm in leave mode, I'm not going to waste my time.
No,
especially at this age, I'm like, man,
if you're in leave mode, then you leave and it's over with. Then you just clearly identify boundaries that you know for the next time you don't allow that to happen, or it doesn't happen, and you strengthen these boundaries to the things that this is not going to happen. This is something that we won't even talk about, because the minute I find out, I'm not even going to think twice about breaking up with you. So, and
I don't know.
If you are the person that's fractured the trust, if you're the one that went out there and did it, be patient. Go back to, atone for what you've done wrong. Be patient. Give them the opportunity to work through whatever they have to work through. Be consistent, Kick back into the old patterns of consistency, accountability.
It's hard, man, because women, y'all got, when you get that venom in you, you be throwing it in my face all the time. And I'll be like, look, man, I'm not going to keep trying this.
No, and what happens is, if you decide that you're going to we're going to let this go and we're going to move on from here. And this I can attest to, because this actually happened to me. There's something that forgive and forget is really important. Not so much the forget, but the forgive. And the forgive is truly what's going to make the difference between being able to move forward or staying stuck where you are. So if you tell your partner, I have accepted this behavior, it won't happen again, because we've decided that this is not going to happen again.
And you're not going to ask about it anymore?
No. It's not that you don't ask about it. It's that you don't throw it in their face.
Okay.
If you truly have forgiven the person and you truly want to move forward, you have to let that go. You don't forget, because you're never going to forget the hurt. But you don't keep throwing it in their face, because while you're doing that to them, you're actually opening up that wound in yourself again, and you're not allowing yourself to move forward. So you put it in the past, and it stays in the past. Hopefully your partner will let it stay in the past as well, and they don't repeat that behavior, because the second time, that's it.
Okay. All right. Trust.
So yeah,
Trust.
It's the most important thing in the relationship. It's the hardest thing to get. I would, in my opinion, I think it's quite difficult to lose.
Difficult to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I trust my partner implicitly. And so I don't think that, and I may be a fool, but I don't think that there's anything that he would purposely do to violate my trust.
Nah, man, it's like it was raining. I slipped. If you could just see how she's looking at me right now, I'm like, slipped.
Yeah, well, but so you'll just slip on out the door. Bye.
Yeah, man, it's just, it's really crazy, but I hope one day that I can get that child's heart again. Because that was really fun for me. Where I didn't have to worry about all that craziness. It's like, if we doing this, we doing this. I just want to have a child's heart.
Well, I think that there are people at places and people that you can have that child's heart with. I mean, you don't have to have an open child's heart with the whole world, because you need to protect yourself. But I think that there are relationships where you should be able to open up that heart and trust that the person that you're with isn't going to hurt it.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Facts.
So that's what you need to strive for.
I'm striving for it.
Okay, I'll help you.
I'm striving for it.
Debbie Lopez will help you.
But at the end of the day, I think that those bridges are very fragile, and it doesn't take much to throw it out of whack, especially somebody like me. I come from the music industry. I've been in the industry all my life, all my adult life, and I've seen a bunch of foolishness. And I'm not the fool that doesn't say that couldn't happen, that does say that couldn't happen to me. It could. So it's just really being rock solid.
Well, and it's actually, in your case, it would be having your partner be rock solid.
Absolutely. I wouldn't even be involved if she wasn't rock solid.
Yeah. So there's got to be a certain level of it works both ways. And that's what trust is. It's actually a two-way street. And so the important thing is that we both adhere to keeping it real.
Yeah. If you're not keeping it real, you definitely are just playing around, and you're going to run into that person, or you're going to have that person that says, I thought I was. And that's a problem, man.
And that's why you need to ask questions.
I do.
Yeah.
God knows I do.
And have that open line of communication consistently with your partner. Do the relationship check-ins, all those things where you can bring to light anything where you like you said, it's a teetering bridge sometimes. Don't let that bridge teeter too far out of control. You bring it right back in. And the only way you're going to do that is by communicating. So, and I want to leave today, I think that the most important person that we need to trust is ourselves. And a lot of us question all of the things that we do. And until we trust ourselves, it's really hard to trust somebody else. So we need to exercise trusting ourselves, so that when we make a decision, we don't second guess it. And when we make a commitment, we don't second guess that either. And so, like I tell everybody, there's this voice that's inside of you. And I know because it's spoken to me many times. And I try to rationalize it. And I try to say, no, that's not possible. That's not it. I'm just exaggerating. Sit down. When you're having those thoughts, truly sit down and reflect on them. Take some time, quiet time. Don't talk to your don't talk to anybody about it. Sit down and listen to yourself. And in order to start creating self-trust, become self-aware, and also set goals for yourself. If I were to set a goal that I'm going to lose 10 pounds by next week, I know I'm not going to make it. So, set goals where I know I'm going to meet them, because I need to build trust in myself before I can actually extend that trust to somebody else.
Okay. It's interesting topic today.
Yes.
Trust.
Yeah.
It's a small word, but it's hard to do.
It packs a powerful punch.
Yeah, man. Especially at this point of the day, it's hard.
Yeah, these are healthy relationships.
I had a few relationships, man, and I wanted to trust. I tried to trust.
Okay,
I pushed it out there first. Like I'm gonna show up first.
Did you have this little voice inside of you telling you this isn't good? This isn't. Yeah. And so you didn't listen to it.
I flagged it. That's been the story of my life.
I think it's the story of all our lives, and that's why I wanted to wrap it up. Just saying, work on trusting yourself, because everything else kind of falls easier if you do.
Yep, I totally agree. It does fall easier if you do.
Well, y'all, it's been a great show. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Please remember, if you have any suggestions or comments, you can DM me at Debbie Lopez at Facebook.com or Debbie Lopez at Instagram.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And you can also catch Chris and I every Tuesday at 2:35 p.m. on Soul Cafe Radio, where we have a quick little snippet of different things that affect relationships as well. It was great spending time with you. Until then, live in love. This episode of Loving You the Podcast has been brought to you by Sony Music in the Orchard, home of Eleanor Crazy for You and the new top 5 record, Groove Dynasty's Somebody Loves You Back. Both are available on all digital outlets.